He was a billionaire who didn't believe in love. Until one night, he read words that felt like they were written just for him. Rain pounded against the city skyline as Jaden Blackwell slammed his office door behind him. The echo vibrated down the marble hallway of Blackwell Enterprises, sharp, cold, final. His jaw tightened as he dropped a folder on the glass table, scattering papers across the floor. His assistants flinched outside the door but didn't dare come in. He hated losing control. And yet, tonight, it wasn't business that had him pacing like a storm. It was words, fictional, burning, addictive words, that he couldn't stop reading. Somewhere out there, an anonymous author calling herself Luna Rose had written him into a novel. Every page cut deeper. Every scene felt like she was watching him, studying the way he breathed, the way he guarded himself. He didn't know her, but she knew him. He pulled out his phone again, scrolling to the chapter that had ruined his focus all week. Even the coldest hearts can melt if someone dares to touch them. His thumb hovered over the line, and for the first time in years, the almighty Jaden Blackwell, billionaire, ruthless CEO, master of control, felt something he couldn't define. Curiosity. Who was this woman? He leaned back in his chair, the rain softening into a steady rhythm behind him. He didn't believe in coincidences. And yet, every time Luna Rose updated her novel, he saw pieces of himself in it. The same sharp wit. The same guarded arrogance. Even the same scar on his left hand, described in perfect detail in chapter 12. That night, as lightning flashed through the windows, Jaden whispered the words like a challenge.
Luna Rose.
Luna Rose, who are you? The next morning, Amara Evans sat at her small desk on the 26th floor, typing quietly as the office buzzed around her. Her co-workers laughed, the phones rang, but she was lost in her world, editing a paragraph on her screen before quickly minimizing it when footsteps passed by. She looked composed, collected, and professional. No one would imagine that the shy data clerk with oversized glasses was the same woman whose romantic novels had millions of online readers swooning. Her pen name, Luna Rose, was her disguise. Her stories were her escape. And the man who unknowingly inspired them, sat one floor above her. Jaden Blackwell. She didn't write him intentionally. Not at first. But his presence, the way he walked into a room like gravity itself bent toward him, had bled into every page she'd ever written. Amara sighed softly, touching her necklace out of habit. She'd stayed up all night finishing the next chapter. The one where her fictional CEO, JB, finally let his walls down. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't even imagine, was that the real JB was reading every word. That night, Jaden refreshed the app, waiting for the update. When it appeared, he leaned forward, reading line after line until his pulse quickened. The hero watched her from across the office. Every smile she tried to hide. Every stolen glance. He knew she was lying about who she really was. Jaden froze. His heart skipped a beat. He looked up from his phone and stared across his own office floor, the glass wall separating him from his team below. And there she was. Amara. The quiet one. The one who never spoke unless spoken to. Her fingers were typing quickly, eyes focused. Innocent. Invisible. But his instincts sharpened. Was it possible? Could she? He shook his head. No. Impossible. And yet, something inside him whispered otherwise. The next morning, when Amara entered the elevator, she didn't notice Jaden already inside until the doors closed. Her heart stuttered. Good morning, Mr. Blackwell. His gaze flicked toward her. Calm. Assessing. Dangerous. Morning, Miss Evans. His voice was smooth, deliberate. Tell me, do you read romance novels? Her breath caught. Sometimes, she lied. He smirked faintly. Do you write them? She froze. His eyes didn't leave hers. I I don't write, she said too quickly. Shame. He turned to face the elevator doors, his reflection glinting against the steel. I hear some of them can be inspiring. The doors opened. He stepped out, leaving her trembling in the empty elevator. That night, Amara deleted half her new chapter. She couldn't concentrate. She kept replaying his voice, the subtle way he'd looked at her, like he already knew. He couldn't know. No one could. She'd worked too hard to keep Luna Rose separate from her real life. Her identity was her secret, her power. And if Jaden discovered it, she'd lose everything. But Jaden wasn't the kind of man who left questions unanswered. He called his assistant later that night. Find out what Miss Evans does in her free time. Within hours, he had everything, her social profiles, her old posts, even a comment thread where someone mentioned Luna Rose's first story had been written by a woman working a boring office job. Coincidence? Maybe. But Jaden didn't believe in coincidences. He opened Luna Rose's author bio again, just a woman writing about the men she'll never have. His smirk returned. The next day, he called Amara into his office. Miss Evans, he said, not looking up from his papers. I read your report. It is efficient and precise. You're quite observant. Thank you, sir. He looked up then, eyes sharp. Tell me, what inspires your creativity? My creativity? Yes. I've noticed you stay late sometimes. Typing. You seem passionate about words. Her pulse spiked. Just work notes, sir. He nodded slowly, clearly unconvinced. Passion is good. But secrets, he paused deliberately, can be dangerous. She swallowed hard. I don't understand. Of course not, he said smoothly. That'll be all. She walked out, her heart racing and palms sweating. In her bag, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an anonymous reader account. You write like a woman who's in love with her boss. Her blood ran cold. That night, she locked her door and stared at the message for hours. Was it him? No, it couldn't be. He didn't even know how to use that app, did he? But the timing. The way he looked at her. The words he used. Everything pointed to one terrifying truth. Jaden Blackwell had found her. Still, she refused to stop writing. It was all she had left that felt truly hers. So, she opened her draft and began typing the next chapter anyway. The CEO cornered her in the elevator, his voice low, teasing. He knew her secret. But instead of exposing her, he wanted to watch her unravel. Her phone buzzed again. A new comment appeared on her story. From the same anonymous account. Careful, Luna. Some secrets are too tempting to keep. Her hands trembled. She didn't sleep that night. The following morning, she arrived early, only to find Jaden already there, standing by the window with 2 cups of coffee. He handed her one. Rough night? She hesitated. Something like that. He smiled faintly. You should take better care of yourself, Miss Evans. Your eyes look tired. Too much writing, maybe. Her heart skipped. He sipped his coffee, watching her over the rim of the cup. You know, I started reading this novel recently. The main character reminds me of someone. Oh, she stuttered. Yes. The hero's cold, detached, but beneath it, he's bleeding. I can't tell if the author wants to save him, or destroy him. Her throat tightened. What's it called? She asked, pretending not to know. He smiled. Winter Hearts. Her fingers nearly dropped the cup. That's a beautiful title, she whispered. It is, he agreed softly. But you know what's more beautiful? The author's words. I'd love to meet her someday. He turned back toward the window, his voice lower now. If I ever find her, I'd ask one thing: how does she know me so well? Amara excused herself quickly, heart racing so violently it hurt. By lunchtime, she was in the bathroom, gripping the counter, staring at her reflection. He knows. He knows, she whispered to herself. A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't even realize it. She'd written about love. About bravery. But she'd never been either. And now, the one man she feared, and loved in secret, was peeling away every lie she'd built. That night, she received another message from the anonymous account. Dinner tomorrow night. 8 p.m. My driver will pick you up. Don't be late, Luna. She dropped her phone. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. Because deep down, she already knew who sent it. The next evening, she stood outside a private restaurant, nervous, trembling, heart wild. When she walked in, the lights dimmed, candles flickered, and Jaden Blackwell sat at a corner table, calm as ever. In front of him, open on the table, lay a familiar book. Her book. And the page was bookmarked at the steamiest scene she'd ever written. Her throat went dry. Jaden looked up, eyes gleaming. You kept me waiting, Miss Evans. She took a hesitant step forward. What is this? He tilted his head slightly. A dinner. Between a boss, and a woman who's been writing about him for months. Her lips parted. You. Oh, don't look so shocked. He gestured toward the chair. Sit. She didn't move. Sit, Amara, he said softly, and something in his tone made her obey. Her heart thundered. Jaden leaned forward, voice low and deliberate. Do you know how I found out? She shook her head weakly. I didn't, he said. Not at first. But you wrote about me too well. The way I touch my cufflinks when I'm thinking. The way I avoid looking at people when I'm angry. He smiled faintly. You even wrote about this scar. He lifted his left hand, the one she described in chapter 12. Her breath caught. It was like reading my reflection, he said softly. So tell me, why me? Her voice cracked. Because you were unreachable. He leaned closer. And now? Her eyes flickered to the book between them. Now you're too close. He smiled. Good. I like being close. The air between them was electric and sharp with unspoken things. The city lights outside painted streaks of gold across Jaden's face, softening the edges of the man who ruled boardrooms with an iron will. For the first time, Amara saw not the CEO, but the man beneath, the one she'd unknowingly written into existence. Do you realize, he said slowly, how it feels to read something and see yourself bleeding between the lines? Amara swallowed hard. It wasn't about you. He laughed softly, disbelieving. No. Then tell me, why does your hero have my words? My habits? My scars? Her lips parted but no sound came. Every denial felt like a lie she couldn't sustain anymore. Because you scare me, she whispered finally. Jaden froze. Her voice trembled, but she forced herself to go on. You walk through this office and everyone looks away. You never smile unless it's for power. But sometimes, when you think no one's watching, there's something lonely in your eyes. That's what I wrote. Not you, Jaden Blackwell, the CEO. I wrote about the man who looked like he was drowning but refused to ask for help. The silence that followed was heavy. His fingers brushed the edge of the table, knuckles tightening once before he exhaled. You see too much. You hide too much, she whispered. He looked at her then, and for once, his gaze wasn't calculating. It was searching. Almost tender. Do you hate me for it? He asked. She shook her head. No. I wrote about you because I wanted to understand you. Because, you made me feel something I wasn't supposed to. He leaned back, a faint, ironic smile touching his lips. And yet you made me into a fantasy. You made yourself one, she countered softly. The tension broke just enough for him to laugh under his breath, quiet, unexpected. Touché, Miss Evans. But the calm didn't last. It never did. He slid the book across the table, fingers brushing hers, deliberately. Tell me something, he murmured. If the man in your novel were sitting across from you right now, what would you want him to do? Her pulse stumbled. Would you want him to confess, he asked, voice lower now. To tell you that he's been your biggest fan all along. That he fell in love with your words before he even knew your face. Her heart stopped. Jaden's eyes burned with a quiet intensity that pinned her in place. Because that's what happened, Amara. He leaned closer, the world narrowing to just the two of them. I read you. Every night. Every scene. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. Jaden. I don't know what this is, he said quietly. Obsession. Admiration. Something in between. But I know it's real. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. He reached out then, fingers brushing a tear from her cheek. You have no idea what your words did to me. Her breath hitched, the air trembling between them. Then suddenly, she pulled back. Her voice shook. This can't happen. Why not? Because you're my boss, she said. He frowned slightly, leaning back. That's an excuse. No, she said firmly. It's the truth. You hold all the power, Jaden. I've seen what happens to women who get caught in your world. I can't be one of them. He looked at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his eyes. You think I'd destroy you? I think you already could. The next morning, Amara avoided him. She buried herself in work, answered no calls, and refused to update her novel. Her heart warred with itself, one side still burning from his words, the other terrified of their consequences. But Jaden wasn't a man who liked silence. By noon, an email appeared in her inbox. Subject line, a proposal. She opened it, expecting business terms, but it was only one line. Dinner was unfinished. Let's not end stories halfway. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Delete or reply. Instead, she shut the laptop. That night, she went home, poured herself tea, and tried to write, but the words wouldn't come. Every line felt hollow. Every imagined scene turned into him. The next morning, when she arrived at work, her screen flashed with an email from HR, Miss Evans, please report to Mr. Blackwell's office immediately. Her stomach twisted. She walked in expecting confrontation, but found something else entirely. On his desk lay her resignation letter. Signed. She blinked. What is this? Jaden looked up, expression calm but guarded. You wanted distance. I'm giving it to you. Her heart sank. You forged my resignation. I submitted it. I own this company, he said quietly. I can give you anything you want, including freedom. Her voice broke. You didn't even ask me what I wanted. He stood slowly, walking around the desk until he stood inches away. I'm asking now. Her eyes met his. I wanted you to stay out of my story. He exhaled, slow, pained, and stepped back. Then I'll be the villain, if that's what you need. Weeks passed. Amara left Blackwell Enterprises. She found a small apartment, wrote endlessly, and tried to forget him. Her readers begged for updates. The story had reached its emotional climax, the heroine's heartbreak, the CEO's disappearance. Everyone wanted the ending. But she couldn't write it. Not yet. Until one night, alone at her desk, she opened a blank page and whispered, fine. One last chapter. Her fingers moved across the keys. He let her go, thinking he was protecting her. But the cruelest thing he ever did, was teach her what love could be. She hit publish. Within hours, thousands of comments poured in. One caught her eye, anonymous, again. Beautiful ending. But you forgot, some stories don't end when you close the book. Her heart stopped. No. It couldn't be him. And yet, the next morning, her doorbell rang. She opened it, and froze. Jaden stood there. No suit. No tie. Just a man, holding a small box and looking almost nervous. I read your final chapter, he said softly. It was cruel. You shouldn't be here, she said. Probably not. He stepped closer. But I couldn't let it end like that. She folded her arms. You got what you wanted. I'm gone. You're free. I'm not, he said. Not from you. He opened the box, inside was a fountain pen. The same one she'd mentioned once in her earliest story, the pen she said her dream man would give her, so she'd never stop writing love back into the world. Her breath caught. I thought you said you didn't read the old chapters, she whispered. I lied, he said with a small smile. I read everything. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or shut the door in his face. Jaden, what do you want from me? He stepped closer. Nothing. Except maybe a rewrite. Of what? Our story. Her eyes flickered, searching his face for any hint of the man she'd feared. But he wasn't the same. His voice was gentler now, his arrogance softened by something deeper. I won't ask you to come back to the company, he said. But maybe, you could let me back into your pages. A tear escaped before she could stop it. I don't trust you. Then let me earn it, he whispered. And for the first time, she didn't step away when he reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The world outside was silent, waiting. Why me, Jaden? She asked quietly. Because you wrote the only version of me I wish I could be. Her breath trembled. You make it sound like I saved you. He smiled faintly. Maybe you did. Months later, Amara released a new novel under her real name. It exploded online overnight, readers obsessed, critics praising her vulnerability. But one scene, near the end, caught everyone's attention. A heroine sitting across from a man who once terrified her. The line read, he confessed he fell for her words before he ever saw her face. And the dedication page said simply, for the man who read me like no one else ever could. Jaden sat in his office, reading the book with a faint smile tugging at his lips. His phone buzzed with a notification, new story chapter uploaded. He clicked it. Title, The CEO Who Stole My Heart, based on a true story. His brow lifted in amusement as he began to read. He thought the story ended when he confessed. But she knew, real love doesn't end, it evolves. He chuckled softly, shaking his head. She got the ending wrong. He closed the book, stood by the window, city lights reflecting in his eyes. Because the real story, he whispered, is only just beginning. Sometimes, the best love stories aren't written in ink, they're written in the silences between two hearts that finally speak the same language. If you believe love can find you in the most unexpected pages, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment about your favorite moment, and subscribe for more cinematic love stories. Because somewhere out there, another story is waiting to be told.